Hello, and welcome to the first edition of What the Quack, where I will answer your publishing questions as part of the Ask BookEnds Junior series. I'm Tracy Marchini, and I'm a literary agent at BookEnds representing fiction, nonfiction, and illustration for children and teens. And I'm also the author of Chicken Wants a Nap, my debut picture book. I only have a few minutes, so let's get started. Our first question is, what's the best course of action when a manuscript has been submitted to an agent who moves to another agency? A. Resub at new agency. B. Resub to a new agent at former agency. C. Both A and B. Or D. Neither. Embrace the suck of not knowing. So if an agent moves to another agency, I think it's fair to query them at the new agency and also mention in your query something akin to, apologies if you've already seen this, and then name their former agency. I think you can also submit to one of their colleagues, or former colleagues rather, because it's unlikely that whatever unanswered queries were passed along to her colleagues before she left. If she did already reject, I would not submit at the new agency, because an agent really builds their list based on personal taste and what they think they can sell, not necessarily based on who they work for. And then, of course, that's different from an editor who has their own personal taste but also has to take into account the scope of that imprint. Our next question is, I also forgot to say, I'm just going to keep going. I've recorded this like 18 times already. We're all kind of doing D, which is embracing the suck of not knowing. Whether we're writing or an agent or an editor, there's always something we're waiting for. So, I hope that's helpful to know that we're all there with you, just in different places in terms of what we're waiting for. All right, our next question is, in a middle grade or YA nonfiction proposal sample chapter, one that so often gets pasted into an email, is it important to have the footnotes and sources, or is it okay to leave it out because we are just giving a taste? So, as someone that is looking for middle grade and YA nonfiction, I don't necessarily need to see the footnotes in your sample pages. That said, if your footnotes bring something new and interesting and don't detract from the reading, I don't think there's a reason not to include them. If the footnote is just the list of sources, or it pastes really awkwardly and just kind of ruins the reading experience, then I would instead just include your sources at the end. We definitely want to see that something is well researched, but for me, I think the hardest thing to find is that fantastic, engaging trade nonfiction voice. So, I definitely want to see the sources at some point, and I do want to know that it's well researched, but if it's hard to read in the sample, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Again, you can put some things at the end or your sample bibliography at the end so that you're still getting that research in there. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed this first video. I know it was a little rough. If you have questions for us, you can reply to @BookEndsLit and tag it Ask BookEnds if you write for adults, or Ask BookEnds Junior if you write for children and teens. And if you want to hear from me in particular, you can also tag it What the Quack. See you again soon, and until then, wishing you lots of ducks on your writing journey.